Good evening, everyone. We will begin shortly. There are a few general instructions to follow. To avoid disturbance during the webinar, kindly switch off your audio and video during the session. Do bear with us if we face any technical glitches. To raise questions with regard to any session, kindly wait for the session to get over, after which the participants can raise questions in the chat box. Filling of the feedback form is mandatory. Kindly note the technical team would mute if the person is on unmute. Please make sure to maintain the decorum of the webinar. Thank you. Ephesians 2:20 from the Bible says, "We are God's masterpiece." Strength, stability, substance, celebrating the greatest sunshine in humankind. Wishing all the women out here a very happy Women's Day. Good evening, everyone. I take this opportunity to welcome you all to the celebration of International Women's Day 2021, organized by Social Work Student Association SWASA, St. Joseph's College, and Secret Sharz. International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity. Significant activities witnessed worldwide as groups come together to celebrate women's achievements for women's equality. Marked annually on March 8, this day is symbolic of the historic journey women around the world have taken to better their lives. It comes as a reminder that while a lot has been achieved, the journey is long and a lot more need to be done. And this year, the campaign theme for International Women's Day 2021 is Choose to Challenge. A challenged world is an alert world, and from challenge, comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. Socrates once said, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Without any delay, let's begin this celebration with a prayer song. I request Sanchita from First BSW to render the prayer song.
In his time, he makes all things beautiful. In his time, Lord, please show me every day as you're teaching me your way, that you do just what you say in your time. In your time, in your time, you make all things beautiful. In your time, Lord, my life to you I bring. May each song I have to sing be to you a lovely thing. In your time, Lord, please show me every day as you're teaching me your way, that you do just what you say in your time.
Thank you, Sanchita. I now request Mr. Antonio to welcome the gathering.
Happy evening to everyone. I'm Antonio Noronha, Director of Secret Sharz. A warm welcome to you on this great occasion of the International Women's Day webinar on Me Too movement and its relevance, organized in association with St. Joseph's College Autonomous Bangalore. Secret Sharz is an online platform providing opportunity to those willing to share their experiences or success stories anonymously or through articles. We believe in our motto, fear not, be candid, which means to be straightforward and bold in your actions. We celebrate days of international and national relevance through competitions, webinars, workshops, and other activities. Secret Sharz provides a platform to anyone who would like to express their emotions through art, craft, music, and dance. We believe in a collaborative and sustainable approach towards any goal. One such activity is today's webinar on International Women's Day. This day is celebrated around the world, keeping a focal point on the movement for women's rights. Here, I quote Eleanor Roosevelt, "A woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong she is until she gets in hot water. On this day, I would like to appreciate all women on the hardships they have faced with your bravery and resilience, especially during the COVID 19 pandemic. Each one of you is a strong woman indeed. This Women's Day, we remember you for everything that you and thank you for molding us into what we are today. At this juncture, I deem it a pleasure to welcome a distinguished speaker of the day, Dr. Rita Noronha, Director of Center for Development Studies and Education, Mangalore. She is a woman of substance and has an inspiring of thousands of people and working with women's rights for 5 decades. A hearty welcome to you, ma'am. I would like to welcome our young and energetic special invitee, Ms. Shikha Swaraj, founder of Pehel, We for You, started at a young age. A cordial welcome to you, Shikha. Any program cannot be successful without an enthusiastic audience and participants. I thank you all for joining on time and to learn and to know about the Me Too movement, as it has become a trending topic for many in and around the country. It is not just a hashtag, it is the story of a woman. Thank you once again and hearty welcome to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request Mariam Sultanpuri from 2nd BSW, the moderator for the session, to take over.
Ignorance doesn't make you fireproof when the world is burning. Nilan Kiramati. Good evening, everyone. I am Mariam Sultanpuri, and it gives me immense joy to moderate this session on Me Too and its relevance to celebrate International Women's Day. Me Too was a movement started by an American activist, Tarana Brooke, in the year 2006. She began to use Me Too on social media platform MySpace to highlight the occurrence of sexual harassment, particularly as it targeted women of color, and to help women stand up for themselves. Me Too movement in India began in late 2018 in the areas of Indian society, including government, media, and Bollywood film industry. Because of Me Too movement, the registration of the cases of the sexual harassment at Indian workplaces increased 54% from 371 in 2016 to 570 in 2017. About 2,353 cases were registered in 2018. Uttar Pradesh was reported most cases, followed by Maharashtra and Delhi. Me Too movement became a people's movement, and one people's movement is all of humanity's movement. Abhijit Naskar. With that thought, it gives me an honor to welcome our resource person, Dr. Rita Noronha, Director of Center for Development Studies and Education. I call upon Ms. Viola Noronha, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, St. Joseph's College, to introduce Dr. Rita Noronha to the gathering.
Thank you, Mariam. Good evening, everyone. To be inspired is great, but to inspire is an honor. We have one such inspirational woman with us, a social worker, an activist, a leader, an educationist, a researcher, Dr. Rita Noronha, and I deem it my greatest privilege to introduce her to you. Dr. Rita Noronha has about 50 years of experience in the field of social work, of which she has served in School of Social Work, Roshni Nilaya, Mangalore, for about 40 years in various capacities as a professor and dean of the PG Department of Social Work. Being an ex-student of Roshni Nilaya myself, I feel proud to mention that during my student days, I have had the wonderful opportunity of attending her classes, workshops, as well as group activity-based sessions. She has contributed to the field of social work research through projects on different social issues like child labor, bonded labor, empowerment of women, and gender sensitization. In the past, she has served in various organizations and committees involved in human development at the local, state, and national level. She continues to function as member of some organizations such as governing body as well as general body of Karnataka Regional Organization for Social Service Bangalore, governing body of HID Forum Bangalore, general body member of National Association of Street Vendors of India, New Delhi, and member of the Town Vending Committee, Bangalore City Corporation, Bangalore. She has to her credit publications of articles and booklets related to social work education, sustainable development, women and development, gender issues in human development, as well as manuals for trainers engaged in continuing education, competency building among women members of the Panchayati Raj bodies, and for the facilitators of good governance. Dr. Rita has also made significant contribution by her sustained involvement in human development related issues such as gender justice, promotion of rights of farmers and street vendors, and holistic health promotion, to name a few. She is also involved in projects in collaboration with Government of Karnataka. Currently, Dr. Rita is the director of Center for Development Studies and Education in Mangalore. We are honored that Dr. Rita Noronha has consented to address us on such a relevant topic, which aligns with the theme of International Women's Day 2021, Choose to Challenge. Once again, on behalf of St. Joseph's College and Secret Sharz, a warm welcome to you, ma'am, and I request you to take over the session.
Are you able to hear me? One of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. It's very nice being with all of you. St. Joseph's College, I have come there. I have met a number of you there, and students as well as faculty. I'm also very happy that St. Joseph's College is joining Secret Sharz in organizing this program under the leadership of our young man, Antonio. All of us are here to celebrate Women's Day. Actually, for us, every day is a Women's Day. But today is a day where we give a little more attention, a more focused attention to celebrate womanhood. And to me, I do not, if I see womanhood be also a part of manhood, unless it becomes a part of manhood, we cannot have a very healthy society, because all of us, whether we are men or women, we are born of the seed from the mother and the father. So the so-called feminine, the feminine is there in man, and the masculine is there also in women, besides the feminine. So the only way the qualities of the so-called feminine and the masculine, the positive qualities of the masculine and the feminine, we get reasserted. Let's say when you associate with masculine, perhaps a lot of qualities of little getting yourself, exerting yourself, moving forward, a whole lot of unnecessary qualities, competition, healthy competition with yourself, perhaps, and with femininity, you associate a lot of caring, nurturing, and sharing, and so forth. So these positive qualities, which I say, cannot be sort of said only these are qualities of men or that of women. Both women and men have shared these qualities, have demonstrated these qualities historically, have and also live these qualities. Some of the highly compassionate persons that we admire today are both women and men. You can remember them as having nurtured a lot of what you call as the feminist values or the women-centric values of caring, nurturing, compassion, dying for them. It's not such, you know, gender-based or single-sex-based kind of values or characteristics. And coming to the Me Too campaign, its relevance, its significance, one has to understand, as far as Me Too is campaign is concerned, that it is not a very easy decision for many of these women to speak up. To understand why it was not an easy decision, we can understand that in societies where there is male domination, where there is patriarchy, where the woman is considered as a second-class citizen, a subordinate. Some women are, women are also in such a society, patriarchal society, some commodities, objects for the use of men in those societies. The poorer they are, the more downtrodden they are, the most excluded they are, they become more and more objectified, commodified. So this is a situation in the kind of patriarchal society. So when we are
They've heard it. Okay.
Um, now, why, for example, speaking becomes very important against violation of our own body, of our mind. You know, body consists of mind also. We have the bodily integrity as women. Even a child, whether it is a boy or a girl, has bodily integrity. We cannot violate that bodily integrity. So any act of abuse on the body of the woman, any act of violence, even the acts of sexual violence are abuse, is an abuse of the right to dignity of the human person, right to life with dignity, right to life with equality, constitution given rights. These are violations of liberty and freedoms that the women have to live as human persons. They have every right to live as human persons like men. Women are no less human persons than men are. But today's society, women are being treated as less of human beings, lesser human beings. This has to stop. Now, many scientists, many scholars speak of as a culture, highly prevalent culture of rape in patriarchal societies. I'm not talking of only India. I'm talking of world over in patriarchal society. The higher the patriarchy, more the culture of rape is prevalent in those societies. But there are also very human cultures, there were very human cultures past and present with lived memories of, sharing, caring, non-commodification, a lot of equality and so forth, and very humane way of treating men and women and, treating one another. Now, what is this rape culture that they are talking of? Let me say, in patriarchal cultures. Rape culture consists of those who rape, those who commit sexual aggression. Could be by words or deeds, gestures. Could be, by committing what you call threatening rape or sexual harassment or committing acts of sexual harassment. All this is known as sexual harassment, a rape culture. Now, within this rape, the so-called rape culture, you have persons who commit rape. One. Two, we have persons who justify rape or sexual harassment or molestation and so forth. They would say, why did that girl wear that dress? Why did she go at this time of the day? Why did she do this? Why should she act like this? Why did she go with that person? Or why did she not go with someone else? Why did she go at this time of the day or night? What was the business? So this is a justification, rationalizing. Right? You're trying to say, okay, woman has done wrong. She's responsible for what has happened to her. We are not saying, look, whatever she wears, however she acts, whatever time she goes, it is her body and no one has the right over that, her body. She has bodily integrity. We have not brought up our society has not inculcated those value systems in people, in boys in particular. They have been told that you're the privileged person. You can do what you like. Woman is there for you to use, to manipulate, to use as an object. And many men don't do that. But there are many who do that in a society where there is a culture of rape. Now, there's two things. Now there is a third group which will tell women who have undergoing this experience, if you do this, you will be stigmatized. Yeah, they get stigmatized, no doubt about it. If you do that, you will be blamed. They'll criticize you. Please don't open up. And that's what has been happening for centuries. Women have not opened up. Those women who opened up have been silenced. So women keep quiet. And there is a fourth group who would say, who will remain silent, indifferent. What happens? They are not bothered. They are not concerned. They close their eyes, like those, you have those attitudes of total silence against discrimination, injustice, however cruel it might be. Now, or only there are some who will join when there's something that really hurts your conscience and makes you feel very angry, that you may join certain protests. Now, this culture of what you call as blaming women, shaming women for these acts, this has to end. Now, this Me Too campaign was an effort at ending this. They said, you may blame us, you may criticize us, you may shame us, but we are going to speak up. And these are acts of courage. These are acts of assertion of human dignity and dignify, the right to live life with dignity and equality. Many women spoke up at great cost to themselves. You may have read about a lot of these women who came forward and spoke up. Some of them had to pay with their lives. Some of them, their reputation was torn to shreds. Some of them, had to face a lot of public outcry, trolling, and so forth. But in spite of these women have come forward. They became the torchbearers for our society. A lot of you young people who are gathered today, you've heard of a lot of women. You too are women of courage. You too are women of strength. The young people are the torchbearers today. You have to create a more just and equitable society where we have got to question the roots of patriarchy. We have to see that all these issues that are there, that are women's issues, are human issues, are social issues. They are not just women's issues. We have to realize that these issues of what you call as sex, all kinds of gender discrimination, from the birth, from the conception of a child in the womb of the mother, perhaps even before conception, preconception technologies are used to see only boys or girls. Sex selection procedures are used. So you have a child sex ratio which is again not balanced. Even progressive places like Dakshin Kannada, districts like us, very high indicators, but sex ratio, there is a lot of imbalance. There are less number of girls than boys, though the adult population and child population together, general population ratio is higher. Higher number of women, you find child sex ratio is lower among, women in a lower number. Now, coming to, as young people, it is very important also for every one of you and me also, continuously learn from one another, continuously learn from the characteristics of courage that so many women have demonstrated. So many men supporters of these women also have demonstrated. A lot of learning that comes for us from this. You have, for example, we have to question why this is happening. We have to critically understand that sex discrimination of patriarchy is rooted in a lot of social structures, social institutions, whether these institutions are economic institutions or political institutions, educational institutions, religious institutions, whether they are cultural, other cultural institutions, media institutions. You have, less representation of women in crucial leadership roles and positions. Less visibility is given to women. Less voice is heard of women. Though things are a bit changing these days. You take political institutions. Not more than 40% of the women are members of the parliament. Take judiciary. Take all these systems. We have very low representation of women. Now, when you have a very low representation of women in positions of power, what happens in all these institutions where there is imbalance in relations of power? So one has to understand that discrimination of any type, whether it is based on gender, whether it is based on caste, whether it is based on other issues of salience, these are all, based on relations of power, relations of what we call domination of one category of people over the other groups of people. And it is a relationship where you exclude people from opportunities, from resources, from knowledge systems, from skills, life skills, and so forth. So you have institutions, various institutions, which continue to be patriarchal institutions. You continue to have a culture which is pro-patriarchy, which upholds men, which makes men more visible, which provides more opportunities and access to resources to men compared to women. So all this gets perpetuated. And then within people who grow within this institutional setup, let's call it a family. We say family is a very safe place for women, but large number of incidents of violence, incidents of rape, incidents of sexual harassment forms of violence and brutality on the bodies of women. This is something that is very, very perturbing. Though rape has, sexual violence has always been there in patriarchal societies for thousands of years, I would say. Now, this is something that is happening. You murder people, you kill people, you rape and you kill, and you snuff out precious lives of young people or maybe older people. Lives are the same. So, let me sort of, in short, say that the recent judgment of the Delhi court, additional metropolitan court, Mr. Ravindra, I think on that, Priya's case against Akbar, I think this was a very significant judgment which empowers women. I think most of you have read about this. You know, said that a woman has the right to speak about it in any media, in any forum, at any time. It could be after many years. In Priya's case, it was in 1993 incident happened. And her friend also experienced something like this years ago, decades ago. Said you can talk anytime against it. And your reputation of a man should not be the main criteria, when you're talking about incidents of rape. Because it is the dignity of the woman, life of dignity of the woman, life of equality, life of choice, the consent of the woman, that is also very significant in situations like this. So I think there are a lot of positives that are happening in the country. A lot of women are coming forward, they are speaking up, but we have a long way to go in trying to bring about change, a very long way to go, because the values, traditions, and mindsets that have been nurtured for centuries, these are not very easy to transform or change. Institutions which are, almost quite rigid in their patterns, the systems of power, positions of power that are already, quite rigidly placed in certain arenas, very difficult lodged all of a sudden. So women have to question, women have to nurture a mindset that is of learning. We have to appreciate one another. We have to sort of say, come, let us support one another. If a person is accused, is a victim, let us encourage that person. Let us encourage that person to speak up. I have interacted with a lot of women in different parts of Karnataka, where you ask them, you tell them, look, all of us have gone through some of these experiences of violence on our bodies in one way or the other. Usually I have found women to have the pin drop silence, when you broach these topics. What does it tell you? Why are women, especially from the most isolated, most socially excluded groups, remain so silent, so vulnerable? So friends, my young friends, we have the older people and a large number of torch bearers, earlier, I would say, who have made very positive contribution. But by and large, the older generation has yet failed, I would say, in trying to carve a new path of progress. Now, the older people with wisdom, younger people with their vibrancy, the learning spirit, the courage, and the strength, energy, We have to come together. Women and men have to join together, because building a humane society is the job of men and women and men. As I said initially, characteristics, the so-called attributes of female femininity, masculinity can be the healthy attributes, can be combined and can nourish all of us to become better human beings. And I think a lot of young people are showing much courage. They are coming forward. They are becoming torch bearers. I would appreciate that. We recognize that on the Women's Day. And now, let's have a lot of discussion on some of the points that perhaps I have raised, or you may have, better learnings to share or experiences to share. So thank you. Thank you for the.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your thoughts with us on the topic and making us realize how important it is to speak up and be courageous. I now would like to request the participants to please put the questions in the chat box.
Any experiences, any questions, we can all discuss, share. You want to give her entry? Denny, someone wants to join the call, please.
I would like to request participants to please put down the questions in the chat box, if any. Okay, ma'am, we have a question here.
Yes.
How can we see a change in a society where still cultures and traditions restrict women?
How we can expect change in the society. Now, we cannot sit and say we expect change. We have to be change makers in whatever we can, small ways. It could be through, that you are, let's say, very good at singing. Create songs, generate awareness. You're very good at giving talks. Learn well about the topic, the various dimensions of the topic. We need to be aware of the multi-dimensions of the issue, as I said. Every issue, whether it is women's issue or other social issues, environmental issues, have multi-dimensions. Let us understand that what are the multi dimensions of these issues and what are the solutions other people have tried. What are the solutions that have been tried in India, in different states, by various people, maybe globally, what has been tried. And light dawns on us. We can do this. We need not do this. We are not able to do this. Which are the solutions we can use in our context? Can we innovate solutions? Can we be innovators? There are people who have innovated beautiful solutions for environmental issues, for women's issues, empowering women Devadasis. Just recently in Deccan Herald, a beautiful article came how women, Devadasi women are joining together, one of the most oppressed groups today, and trying to carve out a new path, to take forward the new generation of girls and so forth into a mainstream. So these are some of the ways that we can think of. Now, what I do when I, for example, take up an issue, I do a lot of study, lot of research. I try and see also whether, the what you call as the laws are there pertaining to that issue. Study the law. For example, as far as sexual harassment is concerned, or there's a rape law which has been altered and which is made quite stringent now after the Nirbhaya case. We have the POSH Act, the so-called act against sexual harassment of women at workplace. Forbids sexual harassment. It protects women to protect women against sexual harassment and so forth. You have POSCO, for example, act which forbids sexual offenses against children, boys and girls for that matter. And we study these laws, have an understanding of the law, even the positives of the law and the weaknesses of the law, the so-called loopholes. And once we know that, and once you know that a whole lot of solutions have already been tried, we understand those solutions and say, okay, what can be my contribution? How do I carve out a solution? What is my strength? Where can I come in? So this is this has been my experience. So you have any other ideas from the group that you are gathered there? You may have some better ideas or some alternative ideas. Please do come and share that.
Good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Good evening. Hi. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. I hope you're well too. My name is Gokul.
I'm fine. Thank you. Yeah, please tell me. Please tell me.
My name is Gokul. I am Viola ma'am's colleague. So thank you for your wonderful session, ma'am. And I liked one particular point which you talked about, which is about the masculine and the feminine. You said that there's a masculine and the feminine in each and every individual, which I think is a really beautiful statement to make, I think. And it's very true as well. Because when you talk about women's issues or men's issues, I think they're very closely interrelated. In fact, you cannot talk about an issue which only affects one gender. I think every issue affects both genders. And the proof of that is that if somebody, for example, has experienced a horrible incident, let's say she's a woman, the family members have such pain that they experience, and the same holds true for the other gender. So I think we are inseparable as the two genders. And I think the message that we should be sending out to people, to students, to everybody, is that what we should be interested in is the unity between both the genders, not to highlight or not to talk about the differences, which are very apparent, of course, because we may not agree on everything. But the fact that we have the masculine, the feminine in all of us is something that is really beautiful, and it should be something that should be celebrated. So thanks for sending out that message, ma'am. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Ma'am, we have few more questions here.
Yes.
There are some women have accepted their situation, oppression against them, and make no attempts to come out of such discrimination. How do we work with them?
There are many women, who have accepted their situation and an attempt to come out. Now, the more the vulnerabilities are, my friend, the choices become very limited. More the vulnerabilities. Now, when a person has to survive, let's say informal sector work, non-formal work, a lot of these sectors are there where the jobs are less and less now, especially COVID, more women have lost jobs than men. In fact, more men at least went back to work, but large number of women still remain outside work. According to one statistical report, only about 10% or so of women are working. And when you do not have economic independence, when you do not have the means for survival, your vulnerabilities are very high. When you are facing, let's say, caste-based violence, the Dalit groups, who are the major group of victims of public, uh, sexual assault. So what happens? What happens to such groups who are very vulnerable, who have to survive? So the issue of bread and butter take precedence over other things. But there are attempts. There are large number of attempts being made by persons, individuals, and organizations to join hands with these groups. That was one of the examples I gave you was of the Devidasi women in Raichur. So attempts are made. So we have to learn these attempts where women have come together, have tried to change, alter their situation of life, and become more economically secure. And then it becomes possible for you to also come out. At the same time, we have to remember that very many women from vulnerable situations also have a lot of leadership qualities they have demonstrated, a great deal of strengths. There are what we call as subjugated memories of resistance, of courage that these women have within them. The survival strategies that they have, these are their strengths. So by appreciating women, and by acknowledging the strengths these people have, however vulnerable their situation is, understanding that, and in a mutual atmosphere of respect, I feel a lot can be done. That's my answer to that question. I agree with you that it takes time, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of sensitization has to happen. Our society by and large, there are no attempts at gender sensitization to the extent desirable. So this has to be done. What is it? How is it? How are we conditioned to be what we are? How we are disciplined to be what we are? What is the behavior? So these large number of our women have been disciplined, conditioned for ages from their mothers are conditioned, their grandparents are conditioned, so also generations of conditioning. So I think it takes time. Things are, there are, I would say there are a lot of beginnings have been made. There is a lot of light that is coming. A lot of women and men who are producing very good films, They are singing very positive kind of sensitization songs. They are writing books and publishing the stories of life of people, of courage. There are, recently I found there were some friends who brought out a whole lot of stories of women scientists. And now these women scientists, the studies of women scientists that have been done by others, they can be a trendsetter. They can sort of motivate other women to innovate, take up, and realize that women can also be equally very good as boys, as men are. And men are not the only scientists. And very often, scientists, they have been repressed. So now things are changing. That's a positive thing. Anything? You have any answer to that question yourself? Hello? Hello? Are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Yes. Fine. Abhish. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. One more question.
Yes.
What is your view in involving women in decision-making process in the political level? Shall I repeat the question?
Please repeat the question.
Okay. What is your view in involving women on political level in decision making?
Now, see, that's a very good question. Now, when we say political, what do we mean by political? Okay. One has to understand that. Now, as students and the student scholars, you need to really understand what are these concepts that stand for. What is political? What is political party? What is political system? What are the different political systems that we have now? Coming to when you say involving women in politics, political affairs of the country. See, politics is life. So, women and men are influenced by political decisions. Politics is, decides, decision making is done at political level, governance level. Now, if you say political parties, those who are elected, they go to the assembly, they go to the parliament, they make decisions, they make policies, they pass laws, and these laws get implemented, these policies get implemented. So, let's say we have in the parliament 50% women. Definitely such parliaments would make, if those people, women, are more of them are gender sensitive women, and there are gender sensitive men also there who will support these women, you will have very just, gender sensitive kind of development, initiatives that will be generated. You will have policies, you will have laws which are gender sensitive. So women, more and more women, you come into political, representative bodies. More women should become IAS officers. More women should enter judiciary. All the three wings of the government should have equitable representation of women. Today, because of reservation, at least local government bodies like panchayats or the city corporations or municipal corporation, they have 50% of women because of the reservation. Okay? At least that, from our experience, has given a lot of women a chance to come out and to participate. And it has led to the development of more and more political leaders from the grassroots level onwards, and who have, some of them have moved up. So why not? We need to work for a polity where equitable representation is there. All of us have to work towards that. At least 50% of the women should be there in parliament of our parliament, state assemblies. So you will have, criminalization of politics has to, end, and we need to have models in our political, all parties, political parties. We need to have models, alternative models of leadership. Women can be change promoters there too. Don't get dissuaded by this idea, that once women join politics, the names, women, lot of women say, okay, why join this politics? It's why should we spoil our name and reputation? It is dirty politics. Politics is life. Decisions are made there which affect our lives. Policies are made, laws are made, and budgets are, transacted, and where you spend the money is decided upon. Whether that money has to, how much money has to go where is decided upon. Whether it should go to, uh, what you call as to tackle malnutrition. We say very large number of our children are malnourished. The women would give priority to these issues, to issues of water, to the issues of health, education, to the issues that make lives of their children and their homes, their own lives better. For men also, these are very important issues. Have I answered your question?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. My question was answered.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Due to time constraints, we are unable to answer all the questions. Please send your questions on feedback form and we will upload the answers on the Secret Sharz website. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, once again for that informative session and for answering all the questions patiently. We move on to the next part of today's webinar. I would like to call upon Ms. Nadia, Treasurer, Social Work Students Association, to introduce Ms. Shikha Swaraj, our special invitee to the gathering.
Good evening, everyone. Israel Moore rightly said, one common thing about great achievers is that they keep asking useful questions every day. They ask questions like, what do I want and what do I have to do to get it right? One such motivational step is taken by our special invitee, Ms. Shikha Swaraj. She graduated from Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi. She began her social work at the age of 17. Gathering of 5 years of experience and exposure, she became the founder of Pehel, V for You, at the age of 22. She is also the founding president of Girl Up Pehel. She has represented India in a global leadership summit, Girl Up, as a young change maker in the Inspire session. Ms. Shikha Swaraj has worked in AI SEC, Delhi University as a volunteer and as a team leader for the social sector in different national projects. She has also been the Creative Crew President 2018 for AI ESEC in Delhi University for the local conference held in Feb 2018. She was selected and worked as a project head for National Associations of Blind through NSA's LSR in the year 2017-2018. A warm welcome to you, Ms. Shikha, on behalf of the organizing team. We are truly inspired by your achievements and are looking forward to hearing about your journey. Handing over the session to you, Ms. Shikha.
Thank you so much, Nadia. I appreciate the kind introduction. Thank you all the wonderful people for being here. A week back, when I got a phone call and an email with the invitation of being the guest speaker, I had mixed emotions. Excited, happy, nervous, but definitely proud. Getting an opportunity to be a speaker on the occasion of International Women's Day in college while studying in my first year means a lot to me. In life, there are moments when you ask yourself, how did I get here? Why I am here? why I am here, and a lot more. This is definitely one of those moments for me. This is huge. This is a privilege. Thank you. A very happy Women's Day to all. Empowering women is empowering humanity. Patriarchal norms have marked women inferior to men. A girl child is considered as a burden and is often not even allowed to see the light of the world. It is hard to imagine the state of affairs in the 21st century when women have proved to be strong leaders in every field possible. From wrestling to business, the world has been revolutionized by exceptional women leaders in fields that were until recently completely dominated by men. In dealing with the spectrum of gender inequality, there is a need to go beyond just the agency of women and to look for more critical assessment of values. Informed and critical agencies are important in fighting gender inequality of every kind, but what is needed is not just freedom of action, but also freedom of thoughts in the common crowd. Gender inequality can be kicked away. Let me take you back to the beginning, back to my roots, being born to incredible parents. The people who have big hearts, who take out some time out of their busy schedule and do something for the people. Me, being a small kid, used to accompany wherever they did go and help someone in need. They taught me think giving not as a duty but as a privilege. Keeping this in mind, I was growing up and always wanted to do something for the people and with the people. Let me take you down the memory lane about 6 years ago. What really moved the needle for me and ultimately led me to create Pehel with a promise to empower health, education, and life. Two of the major encounters that I had exactly was the exact point where I was determined to make the difference in as many children's, women's, and people's life I could. I was in 11th grade and I came back from school to see a small girl, daughter of my housekeeper, of around 7 8 years of age, sitting on the floor of my room and was looking at different books I had. She had one book in her hand which she was looking at with so much emotions and dedication. I went to her and asked, "Why aren't you in school?" To which she replied, "She does not go to school because her parents don't have money." I thought to talk to my housekeeper, her mother. Her mother replied to me that they didn't had enough money, so they decided to send their son to school and not the daughter because it is the waste of money. Believe me, I was blown away when I heard this. I talked to her mother and asked my father to help them with some money so that the child could be readmitted back to the school. This was the time I realized it's the fault of the mentality of the people. Boys should study, and if girls do, it's the waste of money. The second major encounter was when I was in my first year of college back in 2017. I was in one of the slum areas of Delhi. I was talking to different people and interacting with them and was spending time with them. I noticed a girl who had just hit puberty and had started menstruating. The girl was very happy because her parents had pulled her out of school because now in some years she would be married. It really was tough for me to understand the concept which has been dwelling in the society for so long. Gender inequality is imposed on the life of the girls the moment she is born. It will be impractical to say that they are not trapped in their lives. These small incidents changed everything in front of me. That gave me the zeal and passion to fight against gender inequality and try to protect these little change makers of tomorrow. I want to assure that no child has to sacrifice his or her dreams. To bring the change, the first step is to empower people and then to initiate change. Let me brief you about what Pehel V4U really is. Pehel V4U is a social youth organization that works for the upliftment of the society by channelizing the power of youth. It is registered under GOLAP, an initiative by United Nations Foundation. Pehel is the first and the only functioning GOLAP club in the state of Bihar. Pehel is paving the path towards empowering society by promoting good health, sound education, and gender equality as they are the basic building blocks of the society. Our organization is working towards enhancing the lives of the people in the field of education and empowering them by creating a safe environment and raising awareness. I am associated with Girl Up since the last 3 years, and I have been blessed to celebrate my journey. I have witnessed my beautiful growth and see myself transforming. Girl Up is an initiative by United Nations Foundation. During COVID, it took a step to connect everyone globally. Girl Up organized the 3 days event Global Leadership Summit 2020. In the history of Girl Up, it was the first time that the summit was happening virtually. I worked hard for the selection process and was fortunate enough to secure a place as the panelist in the global summit. I was selected as the young change maker from the country India for the Inspire session, accompanying 9 other girls from India. The session was majorly on gender inequality, and it was embraced with some of the eminence and distinguished guests like Mrs. Priyanka Chopra Jonas, Mrs. Meghan Markle, Mrs. Hillary Clinton, Mrs. Michelle Obama, and they Pehel and my work was recognized globally. My journey with Pehel has been a roller coaster ride, believe me, with a lots of ups and downs. I believe I was able to establish this organization because of my experience of 5 years on field with constant hard work, sincerity, and dedication. Working in different organizations for the last 5 years developed my skills to understand the perspective of people. I was 17 when it all began. I was very persistent to make a difference. After working in various NGOs and other welfare bodies, I understood the basic concept of social work, which motivates me to move forward. I learned and experienced all this with the sole motive, which is to make the lives of the people better. And then at the age of 22, I decided to establish an organization which work with no boundaries. People who can join can do it and can work together, right? So when the pandemic had hit the country, it was very difficult. But I, along with my friend Shwetang Suman and Yashika Gupta, initiated this, and we were totally motivated to work for this cause, and I feel honored for this. I was able to pull off majorly 4 big projects on the different states of India and was able to arrange 8 important virtual campaigns on the topic like LGBTQ plus community rights, mental health awareness. I, along with my team, also conducted one of the biggest national event of the year, in which many of you must have participated, Indie Walk Chale Chal Virtual, a national walkathon with the aim to make a Pehel to improve the lives of 10 underprivileged sportswomen and support them for a whole year. I believe that this 1 year with Pehel has made me learn and grow so much, enhancing my leadership and brushing my skills, but most importantly, passionately working for people. The satisfaction and love received from the people has been a huge blessing. I would like to say International Women's Day gives us an opportunity to reflect on the road ahead, what remains to be done in our quest for gender equality, and how we might harness our collective energy. So that when we look back in 100 years' time, we would say, yes, 2021, I remember that was a memorable year, a year of great celebration in which we decided to take a step forward to resolve the unfinished business of gender inequality, and with efforts we fortunately did. We speak about gender equality and promoting women's right. We are not just talking about the interest of women, but also the kind of changes that women have fought and made for, and have been improvements not only for women but for a community as a whole. So when we talk about the progress of a woman, we talk about the progress of the family. I believe that even if one person takes an initiative of change, it is enough to make a significant change around us. And this is what I and Team Pehel intend and stand for. Take an initiative and be the change maker. The need of the hour is to make a change in the mindset of the society and to destroy the prejudice that damages the future of the girl child. What is required is concentrated efforts to sensitize the society in eradicating this issue of gender inequality. It is high time that every child is equally treated and every opportunity required is given to them for their full potential. I would request Nadia to kindly play a short video about which talks about Pehel and the work we do. Am I audible, Nadia?
Yes, Shikha, we can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. I would request Nadia to kindly play the video. I think the music is not coming.
And the wind will rise up to fill my sails. So you can down and you can hate, but still far away, somewhere I belong. But it's always darkest before the dawn. So you got down again. Hey, I know, no matter what it takes, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell बहुत कमा रहा है या फिर बहुत ज्यादा आ रहा है कमा रहा है तो यहाँ पे हमें डॉक्टर को जरूर दिखाना चाहिए अपनी पूरी परेशानी बतानी चाहिए कि हमारे साथ ये हो रहा है क्योंकि mistakes. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday. I know I came down and then forgiven my mistakes. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home.
Shikha, and thank you, Pehel, for organizing this. I feel like a proud mama because I've known Shikha for the past 2 years, and she's just graduated college. I mean, can you imagine how young you are and you're still doing this? And it really gives me a lot of hope for the future. And you guys have a long way to go. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nadia. With this, I would like to conclude. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. You are the change makers. You are the light bearers of the society because change starts with you. It starts with every individual who wants to see the change. Take your step forward, aspire to inspire. Now is the time to decide, and now is the time to act. I believe change starts with just one thought and single action, and you are all valued, you are all supported, and you all are loved. Thank you so much, and a very happy Women's Day.
Thank you, Ms. Shikha, for sharing about your organization, Pehel, We For You. The session was very insightful. I now would like to request participants to please put down the questions in the chat box. Okay, we have a question here. Shikha, wouldn't you say that the lower sections of Indian society have flawed ideas of gender because of the historically privileged people in power who create a system that enables unequal structures of caste and class, hence leaving girls like one who was at your home uneducated?
Yes, definitely. I agree to that. And that is why we are all here. We are the young torch bearers of the society. And I definitely feel that if we come into, when we come into the power, we are someone who decides and get involved into policy makings. We would be making the laws and which would be beneficial for that little girl whom I was talking about. So it's all about because this system is flawed, we have to work for it, and with our studies and being involved in the policy making process, it could be done. So I hope I answered your question.
Okay, we have one more question here. What are the challenges you face as a young social activist in the political level?
um Many challenges, I would say, because when you yourself are studying, when I was in my undergrad, it was very difficult for me to convince the people for the cause I was working for, because when you are or you haven't achieved something, maybe something very big in the eyes of other people, it sort of becomes very difficult for you to convince them about your ideology. And that was the sort of difficulty I was facing. The ideation I was going through was very difficult. Even for that matter, I face it right now, being a master's in social work student. For indie work, for example, I would just give a reference. We were raising funds for the girls who do not have access to the financially, and they are not able to complete their sports like career. They are not able to opt for that. So we did a fundraiser, and we were there in direct contact with a government body, and it was very difficult for us to convince them and the ideation that we wanted to. But I believe when you have a very very strong viewpoint and a sort of a mindset to uh, change the world, then I think so anything and everything is possible.
Thank you. Okay, respected ma'am, your session was very informative. I have a question. You spoke about gender equality. By these, do you also mean equity for our trans women and other queer people?
Thank you so much, Sarina. Uh, yes, everybody is equal. It's not that anybody who is a third gender is not equal to the society. And when I talked about the policy making process, or when I talked about being involved in the decision making, I was open. This would be open for everybody, and I do feel that uh, those uh, those communities are someone who would be able to guide us more better than any other. So everybody should be involved in this, and this could be possible by our young generation only.
Okay, what is your opinion on Pride Month?
It's a good initiative, I would say, because once in an year we get a month where we celebrate the colors, we celebrate the LGBTQ plus community, and we sort of give them that recognition that they need. And I really hope that in the near future, not just one but every month will be a Pride Month. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Shikha Swaraj, once again for sharing your journey with us. Women is a radiance of God. She's not a creation, she's a creator. Rumi. Happy International Women's Day to everyone. Thank you once again. I would like to hand over the session to the MC.
Thank you, Dr. Rita and Ms. Shikha, for such informative and interactive sessions. You all are truly a great inspiration for many out there. We are more powerful when we empower each other. And not to forget, special thanks to Mariam for moderating the sessions systematically. I now request Tenzin Noronha, Program Coordinator of Social Work Student Association, to give the vote of thanks.
James Allen once said, "No duty is more urgent than giving thanks." Good evening, everyone. International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating women's equality. The Me Too movement has brought long buried and widespread issue of social harassment of women in the workplace to light. This webinar effectively raises the awareness on the significance of movement and the astounding impact it can have. On behalf of Social Work Students Association, St. Joseph College, and Secret Sharz, I would like to propose the word of thanks for this webinar. I thank our resource person, Dr. Rita Noronha, for sharing her opinion on the Me Too movement and its relevance. Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening the talk and for spending time out of your schedule to address us. I would also like to thank our special invitee, Ms. Shikha Swaraj, the founder of Pehel We For You, for inspiring us with her contribution to the field of social work at a young age. I'm grateful to our principal, Father Victor Lopo, rector, and the management for their support and encouragement. I would like to thank all the professionals from different fields and faculty from different social work colleges who have joined us in this celebration. A big thank you to all the students who have joined us from different colleges. Hope we were able to enrich your knowledge on the topic. I would like to end by thanking our collaborator, Secret Sharz, for creating awareness on important topics, expanding people's knowledge and perception of life. We are very much inspired by the opportunity you have created for people of all age groups to share their experiences and stories, and also to learn from it. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tenzin. We now have the feedback forms sent in the chat box. Participants, kindly fill in the feedback forms before leaving the meeting. Thank you all once again for being a part of this Women's Day celebration. Have a great evening. Special request to the Swasa core team and the speakers to stay back for a virtual picture. Swasa co-members, kindly switch on your video, and we also request Ms. Shikha to turn on your video, the virtual picture. I also request our moderator, Mariam. Are we done? Nadia?
Kezia, it's done. It's done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all once again. Have a great evening.